Okay, so you want to take it back to Auschwitz.
Okay.
Yep. Just like that.
Now, when it begins selections in Birkenau, there was Mengele.
How do we get to Birkenau now? How did we get there?
We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that.
Okay.
This happened in Birkenau.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Describe the layout for me. Birkenau versus Auschwitz. The same complex, right?
This is one complex.
Right.
But Auschwitz, I would say, was about 40 miles around.
Right.
Because when they begin to gas the people was not in crematoriums.
Right.
It was made barracks, which the air cannot escape.
Right.
And they were gassing the people and taking them. It's called Brzezhinki. Was birch trees were growing there.
Right.
And there was built a deep hole, and they put steel bars. And they were burning the people on top of those bars.
Right.
This was the beginning. Now, shortly after, when they started building finishing the crematoriums, Mengele started making selections.
Now Mengele was a young man then, right?
He was a little older than me. He started making selections. So there was a lot of people. We were stood in 8 marching, 1, 8, 8, 8. You know, each barrack separate. And he picked out people from that and tell them to undress and go into an empty barrack. So I went through one selection. And I said to myself, I'm never going to go back to a selection. Why? There were people from the kitchen which they didn't go, and there were people from the Entlosung. They didn't go out. There was no selection, never.
Right.
So I got me a job to go into the Entlosung.
Which is?
Delousing?
Huh?
What's that?
Entlosung is, we enclose the people from the lice.
Right.
They come in, they come in through here, let's say. They undressed here and left their clothes. And when they were sprayed and washed and hair cut and went out this way.
Right.
The ones who were going to be left in lager alive.
Right.
So the clothes, we filth the clothes, you know, it means filthing.
Yeah. Right.
Looking for gold, for money.
Right.
It's called in German filth.
Right. Filthing in English.
Yeah, if it was something good, I never gave him back. I was holding on to it.
This is in the Canada lager?
This is
Birkenau?
in Birkenau, but the Canada was a, let's
That was
say,
in Auschwitz, right?
this is Auschwitz.
Okay, we'll get to that.
It was about 6-7 miles away.
Right.
So I said I'll never go to a selection.
Right.
And I found me that job in the Entlosung.
Right.
I worked there. No, I found a little coat from a little girl. She could have been maybe 6 years old. And that I took that little coat in my hand. I said, "What is so heavy?" I felt that coat around, and I felt coins. You know, I opened up the lining.
Yeah. Right.
and I have seen a belt around
Yeah.
made by hand. Sit down, please.
Yes.
I'm trying, I want to settle in.
So the belt.
That belt has 20 gold coins American
Wow.
with the eagle.
Yeah.
I seen something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I put it around here,
Mm-hmm.
hanging in the pants,
Right.
and I found some thread.
Uh-huh.
There was plenty thread and needles.
Right.
And I go to the washroom.
Mm-hmm.
Got into the washroom, and I bent over my shirt. And I stitched it around,
Yeah.
and I had it
Right.
under the belt.
Right.
You see, it couldn't jingle because each coin was thread through,
Right.
so one didn't touch the other.
Right.
So by 4:30, we make a entree, and they called us, and we get together to go home to the barracks. When we gotten back into the barracks, there was a bunch of SS men, and they were touching us, so we have something.
Right.
So what did I do? I put in a lot of cigarettes around me.
Right.
And when we got into the entrance to and I stood on the side, and one assessment comes close, I opened up the shirt, and I start giving them out the cigarette.
Right.
I blinded him,
Uh-huh. Right.
and I pulled out all the shirt.
Uh-huh.
What do you get me? He didn't know what's underneath. So I got to the barrack, and I had a friend, what was it? He was from near Lodz, a city is called Pabianic.
Mm-hmm.
They were making material for pajamas, for ties.
Right.
That's how I know him. Morris was his name.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to that friend. He worked in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
He was my only decent, good friend, which nobody discussed any business. I said, Morris, what am I doing? I have 20 coins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them, he said. I don't want to be dead.
Yeah.
He said, bury him someplace. Go to the Holzhof. You know what the Holzhof is? A place where they keep in wood.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Hof is the place.
Right.
And Holz is the wood.
Right. Okay.
I had a cup to drink. I would say about that size.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I took that cup and I put together those coins.
Right.
And I put around bread so it won't shake.
Right.
I got into that Holzhof and I took a piece of wood and I made a hole there.
Right.
The ground was like a mush.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes. Right.
The whole ground there was like I might put in a foot.
Money.
Yeah. So let's say I put it about that deep.
Mm-hmm.
How deep can I dig? I dig with the hand. I locked it in.
Right.
I locked it in.
Mm-hmm.
Now make me a good mark where to find it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got back and I got into the washroom and I washed myself clean.
Right.
And nobody knew nothing. So I went back again to Morris.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what am I going to do? How am I going to get this somewhere else? He said, do whatever you want. I cannot interfere with it. You hidden it good? Let it stay there. All right.
Now Morris was a capo.
Yeah, the Kirchenkappel.
And you trusted him though.
Him, I trust everything. Because I knew his parents, and I did come into the factory where they were making the material, and I know his younger brother, which he was with me in Poznan. And his brother didn't come out from Poznan. So that's how we got together and we talked.
Right.
He come to me, he brought me bread and margarine.
I remember that, right.
So he was the only really friend which I could talk with him everything I want. I want you to know one thing. You didn't know with who you were talking in Auschwitz.
Right.
A wrong word, you finished. You don't know who you're talking. But with him I was free. He gave me, if I needed soup, I had soup, everything. But when I worked longer in the Canada, I said, that's not good enough for me. The SS man who watching us, they called him the grandfather. He was beating the guys after that. He took a guy and put him near a 4x4. You stay here, he said. It was thick like this, I think.
Right.
He shot through his gun. He said, I want to see you, my gun will shoot through.
Yeah.
He killed the boy. So that's why I said, there was a guy, a Luftwaffe. And I said, I'm not coming here anymore.
You were there when that happened?
Yeah.
How old was this guy?
How old could he be? Mine age.
So how old was that guy?
About 27, 28. And he shot that guy. And I said, I'm not coming here anymore. That's when I went into the kitchen. I talked to Morris, and I said, come in the morning. He got back after the appel. He come to the block and called the blockowie. The blockowie come running. He looked like a fly near him. And he told him, where's my landsman? So they got me over there, and he said, you're going to lie here in that bridge up there. They gave him new clothes, new everything. Shave him, complete, bring him over in 7 to the kitchen. Okay? He changed me the bridge, the box. I had a better view of what's going on.
In order, when you first came into the camp, where did you worked in the kitchen first, right? This is...
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I worked in the Mannschaft Unterkunft.
Okay.
This was I built barracks for the
right, okay.
for the soldiers.
Right.
So he called me out, and in the morning I got dressed, and he took me over to the kitchen.
Right.
And the assessment, he was a Hauptscharführer, an officer, high-rank officer.
Right.
He was the boss from the kitchen. He said, this is my family, I don't have more than him, let him stay, let him work here. So in the beginning, he told him to help wash the pots from the soup. It was a separate group.
Right.
And I said, Morris, I don't like to work there. You take me in here to the kitchen. And a week later I was in the kitchen stumping the potatoes.
Right.
Food was, I never touched the soup. There was salami, there was bread.
Right.
So
Were you also preparing food for the Germans as well, or did they have a separate?
later
Okay.
they have. So I had everything there. Nothing was wrong. It was hard. I got to be 5:30 in the kitchen. See, when you go home from the kitchen, each pot has 500 liters.
Right.
Those kettles has to be washed. The inside was like aluminum,
Right.
shiny aluminum.
Right.
Everything has to be so scrubbed because when we let in the water,
Right.
you could see through the water everything what's in the pot. That water stays overnight in a small fire, so you have the coffee in the morning,
Right.
you throw in the coffee and you open the steam.
Right.
In a half an hour you have 500 liter coffee.
Right.
So we had each group had three pots like that to look
Right.
after, to keep them clean, to cook, everything
Right.
around you, everything has to be so clean. This is Germans.
Right.
This is not that go around with a handkerchief and if it's wrong, bitte.
Right.
You know what means bitte?
No.
Bend over and
Oh, okay.
they gave you 5.
Right.
But we kept it clean. I learned fast.
Right.
And I worked quite a while there. Then the Greeks come from Greece.
Right.
You should see those guys. And then come the Czechoslovakian. Oh, what beautiful people. So clean. I'm telling you, the girls out of this world. School kids, 17, 18-year-old girls. They made a kapuf. You know what a kapuf is? No.
No.
A kapuf is a house. And they took those Czechoslovakian girls in there. They filled up a barrack with them. And when the whole thing was ready, Mengele checked them over.
Right.
We have to deliver the food. They never get out from this barrack. We have to deliver the food there, bring it again. So there was a Greek guy, Jacko. We both took our kettle food. It was 50 liters. And 2 other guys took the bread. We got over there, and I asked the couple from the girls. There was each block has a couple
Right.
over the people. I asked, "Skudavi," this is in Czech.
What does it mean?
Where do you come from? She answered, "With Prahu, from Prague." With Prahu. I couldn't talk to her because I had the block to stay and I have an assessment.
Right.
Okay. But the girls were just looking out. They cut their hair then and they put them on red berets. I never saw such clean, beautiful children. And about
this was for the SS men?
huh?
This whorehouse was for the SS men?
Yeah. The SS. In about 2 weeks later, we got a different assessment in the kitchen. They sent them to the front. I don't know what happened. But that assessment, he didn't like what he saw. If I say hello to him, he asks me, where are you from? What are you doing? He tells me, what am I doing here? What do I see here? He said, der Hund, der dog, Hitler. He spit it, walked away. He was from Latvia. You know where Latvia is?
Sure.
He was a Latvian German. He had a store from all the kind of stuff. And they took him in. He was an intelligent man. He didn't care a damn thing about what's going on in the kitchen. Nothing. You can steal 100 package margarine. He would say thank you. So one time,
What was his name?
huh?
What was his name?
Just a minute. His name was I forgot his second Hans. I forgot his second name. It will come to me.
How old was he?
He could have been 5 years older than I. He had a wife and 2 children. One time we took the food and he said he wants to go see that kapuf. We got in there. He walked around with his hands. He was about a 6 footer. Like that, walking around, looking at the girls, talking to them, the Czechoslovaks, they're speaking German too.
Right, sure.
Talk to them. He was, I would say he was angry, he didn't know what to say.
Right.
He walked out and he started in his language, those children. But he can do nothing, he can say nothing. Now, every month they were changing the girls. They told them they're going to send them home. They send them to crematorium. So when he found out what's going on with the girls, he said, Abraham, I'm not going to come here. I'm going to leave it. I can't be here. I can't see that. He left in a few days.
How long was he there?
About 6 or 7 weeks. He left. He said he want to go better to the front than see here what's going on. And then comes another guy. He was a Hungarian assessment. I did my job. I talked to him.
You want some water?
No. We talked. So the pants he was wearing, he was not comfortable. The sleeves were too long. I said, Johann, I can fix that. I went with him over to there was a place where they were sewing and making those striped suits.
Right.
I found it, same thread what I need, found a needle in a temple. I said, you sit in your coat and give me the pants.
Right.
I went into the office and I saw him to get the pants. I made it strong.
Right.
He put on the pants, and the sleeves. I have to show them the sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
I shortened them the sleeves. And I tacked it in here as a seam. I tacked it this side and this side so the lining won't fall over.
Right.
Like this.
Mm-hmm.
He brought me some German cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even touch them. I had cigarettes of my own.
Right.
I gave away a package margarine.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 packages American cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have the English
Right.
across.
Right.
So he stood a long time. But he was not, he liked to hit people too.
Mm-hmm.
There were people coming near the kitchen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was beating them because some come and grab a potato or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'll change that job.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the enclosure again. We had they built up at that time a new shower, a bath, you know, a huge one. Was when it come a transport,
Mm-hmm.
the one who been selected at the Canada,
Mm-hmm.
all of them were coming. They come in here, they undressed,
Mm-hmm.
hair geschnitten,
Mm-hmm.
and gone into taking the bath. They thought they have a hot bath.
Right.
It was cold water. You should see how it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, they washed, and then one guy stood at the door. They put a kind of gas under the arms, the hair, all over.
Mm-hmm.
Put a sponge in that gas water.
Mm-hmm.
It was made from cyclone.
Mhm.
Cyclone.
Cyclone B, right?
Yeah. And it was tested, somebody, if it was too strong,
Mm-hmm.
you smell to it, you didn't fall to the front, you fall backwards, and you make a caca.
Mm-hmm.
But then they start bringing in the Ukrainian women. You should see those women. Women, there was going on a fight with those women because they had children. They didn't want, first they took away the men.
Mm-hmm.
And the women, they tried to take away the children. They said no.
Mm-hmm.
They start a fight.
Mm-hmm.
They start shooting them.
Mm-hmm.
They start going over with the trucks, the women. There wasn't, in that transport, they didn't let live one.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, they took.
Where were you when this was happening?
I was looking out from the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. And you saw this. You saw this happen.
We saw what's going on. And we stay away.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to watch, they shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So, they bring the trucks and they cleaned up the place. And a few days later, they brought another transport to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Also was a lot of women. But the children, I think, were separated.
Mm-hmm.
In the men sent in other barracks. And the women, what were selected to work, they went to the FKL, the women's lager. FKL is the Frauenlager.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much transport coming. Oh, you have no idea, train after train, train after train. They were coming from all over Europe. When they brought the last transport from Lodz.
Mm-hmm.
At that time I was working in the kitchen and I looked around who I can find. A fella found me, I didn't recognize, my best friend, I didn't recognize him. He had here a black pimple.
Mm-hmm.
He hardly can talk. Abraham, I didn't know who's talking to me. I look around. It's me, Jacob. It's me, Jacob. I looked at him, I thought I dropped it. A guy, a boxer, with muscles. There was a herring. So I told him, you stay here, right in the corner. Don't move nowhere. I ran into the kitchen, I had some bread, some margarine, and I have cigarettes. And I go over, and I give him the bread. He didn't know what. I said, eat slowly. Don't grab. Don't tell nobody where you're getting it. Later I'll bring you some soup. Okay? I couldn't stay because I have to be in the kitchen. Later on, I made for him two, we had a schüssel, how do you say it? A bowl. You have, in that bowl, you had a liter. So I had two bowls. I took the two bowls and filled it up with thick soup. And I ran over and I gave him the soup. And the friends his who were lying with him in the fridge, I gave them the other. I said, share with them. And tomorrow morning I'll come again, I'll give you some bread. So, cigarettes, I didn't want to give it to him because he was so thin. I said, you don't have to smoke. Forget about smoking. The next morning, I prepared to have a full bread. A bread is, four people had a bread. So I gave him a bread. I cut it in 4 pieces. And I told him, put it in the pocket. You eat when nobody will bother you. Nobody will see. When they give you coffee, I tell him to give you more coffee. The coffee was made from grain, burnt grain, you know. This was made, let's say, with a little bit sugar. So I talked to the Stubendienst. You know what a Stubendienst is? In the barrack are 4 Stubendienst, 4 men who look after the people.
Right. Okay.
They give him out the food.
Right.
This is called the Stubendienst.
Right.
Yeah. So I told him, I give him some more coffee, soup or bread. I said, you give him his share, the rest I'll look after him. So in a week, they start sending him out to work. You see, they had a week quarantine. And I checked over with somebody, and I said, don't let him go out from lager, let him work in lager. Let him pick up the garbage in the lager, don't let him go. Okay. It cost me. So he was in lager, and I told him, I'll bring you the food to the washroom. Don't show yourself near the kitchen. You should see him in 2 weeks, that guy. He began to back a mensch. He gained weight. He gained strength. And he was driving a wheelbarrow with a broom and a shovel and cleaning the log. I brought him home to lunch after the war.
What was his last name?
Jakob Strush.
Was he the same age as you?
No, he was 2 years older than me. His brother, Abraham also, we were pedaling and traveling together. So
he made it.
I made him, he became, he had a steady job. Nobody could have a better job. He did nothing. He take it from here and put it there, then he take it from there and put it back here. He was running around in the camp. He was not the kind of guy, I told him, because we were peddlers and travelers. He wasn't, if he lived that long in the ghetto, from the less people, he was smart.
Right.
So I told him, look behind you. You see an assessment, you work hard. So there was the Lagerführer, his name was Stolten. When the transport was going out, they catch Stolten on the highway and they destroyed him. They tore him to pieces. He was a terrible guy. He was going around with a German shepherd. Get that Jude. You know what it is? This was by the end when the people were going out from Auschwitz. When I heard that they killed Mengele and they killed Stolten.
We killed Mengele?
They killed Mengele in Germany. No, they found them. They found them in Brazil or in Australia.
They found them in Brazil.
In Brazil. They killed him. He was already a. If I would see him, nobody can recognize him like I did, because I knew his nose. He looked like a Jew. He had a bumped nose, you know.
And a mustache, right?
Yeah, he had a white skin. He had dark hair and a white skin. I have seen him every day. When he was coming with the bicycle, he was riding a bicycle. When he went to go to a selection, you know what he did? He took his coat up here, put it in the belt, and here. And he stood like that.
Really?
The people were going through.
Really?
Who was going to live, who was going to die. Did this come here?
Take a look there.
Yeah.
The point is, he was a cold-blooded murder.
Abe, I want to ask you a question
Yeah.
to gather your thoughts. Here you are. Okay, you come out of the ghetto. You know that your wife Genya is dead, that her family
Yeah.
is gone. Okay. You find yourself in Birkenau and in Auschwitz, where these selections are going on. You know about the crematoria. You know about you've seen the incident with the Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Okay. You know that people are dying. You see Mengele making these selections every day. And yet, you have a situation where a guy from your hometown, a guy from Lodz, a guy whose brother you knew comes in, and you try to save him. And you get an opportunity to get a couple of coins, and you bury them, and act as if something's going to happen in the future, as if you have hope that not everybody's going to die, that you're going to be able to get out of there. How do you know this?
You never knew. Nobody knows. We can, because we watched the chimneys. We knew, because every week, every 2 weeks, they picked out people from the barracks. Sometimes there was a barrack. They come in the whole barrack. Tonight the people was in. In the morning there was no people in the barrack. See, we didn't know where they're going. But
how could you even think about the future? How could you even think that it would be worth keeping the coins? That someday you'd get a chance to spend?
No, you see, you could buy for the coins bread, cigarettes. You can buy good shoes. Those you can buy.
From whom? From the Germans?
No.
Oh.
There was people in Lager what were doing kind of business, the Blockovics, they have. So
Did you ever think you would ever get out?
I tell you when I was thinking there.
Mm-hmm.
When I left Birkenau to Buna,
Mm-hmm.
it was the same lager like there, but Buna has the factories where they were making the bombs, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there for the IG farm industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is?
You think so?
America have still that company.
Mm.
What's it called again?
IGA, the farm industry, they have it.
Yeah.
IG farm industry.
Iga, the Iga.
Made
Farm
it
industry. Mm.
farm color,
Right.
the stuff.
Right.
So I start working for them in Buna.
A dye? You mean a dye factory?
Yeah,
A dye?
a dye factory.
Okay.
When I start working in Buna, so I worked for that company. And I was talking with Polish people, Polacks. Yeah, how do I get there? You're talking about the coins.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I took out a coin and I went to the Lage Älteste, not Lage Viere.
Mm-hmm.
He was
The elder.
from Latvia, I think. Shivek was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew him.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew him in a different way when I worked in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
He used to come and sit down and eat.
Mm-hmm.
He was wearing a black suit.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a coin and I went to him. I've seen what's going on in Birkenau. I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Shivek, you send me to Buna now. You have a transport. He said, you crazy? You work here?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go. And I shake his hand and I give him the coin. He didn't know what to do. He said, okay, you be ready to go. So what do I got to be ready? You see me? I go in there and I'm going. Took my number and it didn't take 20 minutes. There was about 150 people going to Bunat. This was an order. They needed people to a replacement.
Right.
So I was
Mm-hmm.
enough physical and good looking.
Mm-hmm.
I went there.
What did you do with the coins? You left them?
I took him with me.
Mm-hmm.
I left him in Buna. I couldn't take him out anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was circumstances when I couldn't. Buna or Auschwitz, this was the same thing.
Where was Buna? Where is
About 8 miles or 10 miles away. They were built up factories and they were building all the kind of stuff in the world. Even watches they were making there.
I wonder if those coins are still there.
Huh?
I wonder if those coins are still there.
Who knows? This was bombarded to ashes.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what happened there? So I worked there a while. And I had Polacks, a lot of Polacks. And I started talking to them. And I said, you bring me some bread or some potatoes, cooked potatoes. Maybe I'll deal something with you tomorrow. He asked me if I can bring something, shirts or pants. This was plenty in that lager.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to backtrack. Your friend, Morris.
Yeah, I left him.
Yeah. Did you ever see him again?
No. When I went to Buna, I'd never see him again because I was out before there.
So you don't know if he ever made it.
I don't think so. He made it.
Now, what was the arrangement at Buna?
Buna was like this. Soon as I got in, they put us into a barrack, and the Blachowicz was a German Jew, son of a bitch like you ever met in your life. And there was coming a German, let's say he need 50 people. We didn't know where we're going, but
Right.
You are the Vorarbeiter, let's say.
Yeah.
Foreman.
You're responsible for those 50 people. They put me in a band. You know why? I was
Right.
strong, you know.
Right.
They put me in Vorarbeiter. And those 50 people I have to divide in 5 groups. You do this, you do that, you do that. Or some were putting soil in the lawn. You know what a loader is?
Yeah. Right.
In the truck.
Right.
No, it's
A wagon.
a wagon. It goes on rails. You have to change those tracks. There is a Dreischeibe which you turn around. All those things you. So I worked there.